everybody. This is Robert Ferguson. Yes, Roberto Lorenzo Ferguson. Today is a good day, and I hope you're doing well. Today, we're going to talk about long-term use of blood pressure medication. Now, I put a post on Facebook yesterday, got a lot of response. So I said, you know what? Let me take a moment and bring clarity to exactly what I know and what I would like to share with you so that you know. And when you know, and you can do something about it. Either way, you know what I mean? The goal here is for you to be more informed. And when you are informed, you're less likely to fall prey to those who are misinformed. Now, before I get into what we're going to talk about, let me invite you to subscribe to our newsletter. The links are provided below, as well as our YouTube channel, unless you're already subscribed. And if you would like a free consultation with yours truly, I am available. And I would love to meet with you. 10, 15, 20 minutes. I'll answer any questions you have. If I can be of service during our time, doesn't cost you a penny. I am here to be of service. That's a big part of my work. That's a big part of the outreach. You can call it my ministry. I am here to share. As the late, great Jack LaLanne told me in the privacy of his home, Robert, if you're excited about something, don't keep it a secret. Share it. And I'm going to do that. And I want to let you know, and I'll answer any questions about our DFL Gut Reset program. It's a gut reset program, and you can learn about that by clicking on the link. It is available at a discount for the next 24 hours. I may extend it, but definitely for the next 24 hours. It's a great product at $149, but right now it's $74.95. It's a 30-day program, and I'll share more about it as we move forward. But it's one of the new additions that I've been wanting to make available because a lot of my clients I work with, they hit a plateau, they kind of get stuck, and they know how to make fat burning meals, what we call fat burning meals. They understand nutrition, but sometimes you need something to kind of kick you in the butt, if you know what I mean, to kind of give you that added structure. And many people will do our 6-day detox drop and they'll get great results there. I mean, I would never rule that out because that's a great 6-day program. But this program is 30 days. And it does come with a probiotic with 8 different fibers in it that I am excited to see you experience this. And I've woven it into a very solid way of eating every day. I mean, you could go on this program while you're traveling. You could be at work. It doesn't matter. So the same as I've done with any program or anything I've ever made available, I'm always thinking about how to make it an ease of use. Okay. Now, that being said, let's dive into this conversation about blood pressure medication. Now, here's where it comes from. About 14 years ago, I was presenting at a weekend event seminar, and there was 4 keynote speakers. I was a keynote speaker, and the 3 other people who were keynote speakers were all licensed, certified physicians. And one of the physicians in his talk, he talked a lot about how a big part of our lifestyle can play a huge role in how our health, like our health span, if you will. And in his talk, he shared a story about his father, who was also a physician, who in his 40s noticed his blood pressure was elevated. So he went ahead and put himself on blood pressure medication. And he talked about how his life went for the next 40 years. And I can share the same story. Sometimes it can be 20 years, 25, 30 years. But in 40 years, that regular routine medication that he took every day eventually put him in a position where the father, who's a physician, and the son, who's a physician, both agreed that his kidney problems were largely due to the consistency of taking the blood pressure medication. Now, this is coming from two physicians. So let's get that, because when I made my comment, people don't know the backstory. And I had a lady, and she seems to be a very nice person. So I don't know her personally. We're Facebook friends, so I don't take it personal. And by no means am I being disrespectful. But she saw my post and quote, she says, "Yep, you live longer and are at lower risk for heart attack and stroke." So she is endorsing basically, or saying that if you take blood pressure medication, you live longer and are at lower risk for heart attack and stroke. Now, these two physicians that I just mentioned would totally disagree with what she's saying, and they would have a great conversation. And then I had mentioned, absolutely not. I'm in total disagreement with what she's saying. We can all disagree. It's all good. And I said, I will post. So I'm posting. And then she goes on and say to me, well, that is what the evidence says. She says, the evidence says if you're taking blood pressure medication, that you can live longer and are at lower risk for heart attack and stroke. And I'm sure there is a good amount of evidence out there that when you don't have elevated blood pressure, that you live longer and are less likely to have heart attack and stroke. Where her and I, the gray area is, I'm saying, not based on where your blood pressure is, but the fact that you're taking a medication, which there's a ton of evidence that says to the contrary. So I would agree, because I don't have high blood pressure. So I would expect that I would have a lower risk of heart attack and stroke. You follow me? Okay. And it gets interesting as she starts to share. But then another lady came in named Andrea. And I definitely want to post this. She says, sorry, you're disappointed and you're obviously taking it personal. Oh, that's what I said. I don't know. What did she say? Oh, Andrea says, I disagree with you, Robert. She says, I'm not a doctor or nurse, but do work in healthcare, which I do too. She says, I personally have been taking blood pressure meds for 20 years, and I'm alive because I'm taking blood pressure meds. I would disagree with that. Now, we could argue it. She could be right and I could be right. But she's giving credit to her being alive because she's taking blood pressure medications. Guys, critical thinking is when you can just really think about it. She believes that she is alive because she's taking blood pressure medications. And I have clients who are off blood pressure medications that will say they feel they're alive because they're off blood pressure medications. And when you look at the facts, they're eating better, they've lost weight, they're living a healthier life. So maybe she was able to keep her blood pressure under certain control, like she said, 20 years. And she believes that if she wasn't keeping her blood pressure under control because of meds, there was no interest in doing it through lifestyle. But again, I'm guessing on that. She goes on to say that I found out 12 years ago that I have a heart condition. And if I don't take blood pressure meds, I more likely wouldn't be here or had a heart attack or stroke. Again, we need to see the real data. Then she says, I'm really disappointed in your statement. She's disappointed in my statement. I'm going to read my statement. And I want you guys to tell me if you're disappointed in my statement. She says, I can see some of your fans saying, well, Robert Ferguson said it, and it can shorten my life and stop taking blood pressure meds or not go on them, which would be devastating results for the person and family. my fans. Okay, I've been doing this for 29 years, you guys, consistently. And I've done clinical trials. I've worked with thousands of people. 80% of the people I work with who are on blood pressure medication, we get them off inside of 12 months. A big part of that is that they must want to get off of medications. And when you want something bad like that, and it really matters to you, you will stay focused, you will do what is necessary, and you can improve yourself. And some people may never get off. I don't know. But remember what I said in the beginning. It's all about the long term. So here's my post and what she took offense to. My post, it says, I asked 20 people in the last week that are taking blood pressure medication this question. And my question is, what eventually happens as a result of taking blood pressure medication after 20 plus years? What eventually happens? So I don't know if she took it. It's a question. Why would you take offense to a question? And then I said, which is a fact, not one person knew the answer. Think about this. Their doctor didn't explain it to them. They had no idea. So their doctor did not say, hey, do you know what's going to happen if you stay on these meds for years and years and years? They didn't. There's no explanation. I just wanted to know. So where am I being disrespectful? What makes this when I'm posting bad? And then I said, maybe this is what she means. I said, for those of you taking blood pressure medication, do you know what is likely to happen as a result of taking blood pressure medication? Do you know what is likely to happen as a result of taking blood pressure medication? It's a question. Why would someone take offense to a question? If you don't have the answer, you don't have the answer. So she's going into her world and say, hey, it's worked for no one's saying that. I'm asking a damn question. It's a question. Now, obviously, I wouldn't ask the question unless I had some data that I could share. I mean, okay, all right, let's look at this for starters. The prevalence of high blood pressure is higher in patients with diabetes than in the general population. We're talking 3/4, 74%. This is reported in the Diabetes Journal, also the National Institutes of Health, and many studies that back this up. So if a person has high blood pressure and type 2 diabetes, is even more, and it ties in chronic kidney disease. And then when you look at the data, if a person is a type 2 diabetic, 1 in 3 of them will have high blood pressure, and this is conservative, or vice versa. So there's a pathway that takes place, you guys. So what's causing all these things to happen? And those are just stats. And then when I looked at people who are in dialysis, when their kidneys have basically shut down, right? In order to live there, look around, more dialysis centers today than ever in history. In some cities I've gone to, you'll see a church, a liquor store, and a dialysis center. Church, liquor store, dialysis center. They're popping up everywhere. And I've talked to the big companies in the world of dialysis, and I have current data. A large majority of the people who are in these dialysis centers have been taking blood pressure medication for years. Now, is this a coincidence? Okay, maybe. I didn't say maybe. But when you're talking 80% plus, that's interesting. It's not a conspiracy, but based on what we know, that's interesting to me. Now, I'm going to play a clip for you, and I shared this study that's an ongoing study that goes back to 2022. And the title is at UVA Health, okay? The title says, blood pressure drugs may cause kidney damage. Study suggests. Kidney researchers, physicians, okay, they did this study. They are saying more research needs to be done on this because we believe that the drugs people are taking are causing kidney damage. So now remove it from me. So these ladies make their comments, and I get it because they're uninformed about what I'm informed about. And here it is right here. So don't get upset with me. Go to these universities who are doing these studies and talk to the physicians behind these studies. Don't put that on me. Now, before I share with you a video clip that kind of summarizes that study, let's look at the kidneys. Let's look at the kidneys. How much what do you guys know about kidneys? And this is just good info for you to know, because we're not talking about the liver. We're talking about the kidneys. Okay, now, when I think of kidneys, I think of a well-designed filtering system for our bodies. The kidneys remove toxins. waste, and extra fluids from your blood through urine. So the kidneys are very important. Now, if your kidneys are injured or damaged, it can prevent them from filtering out waste, right? Which they're supposed to. Certain health conditions like diabetes and high blood pressure and several medications can actually cause kidney damage. Notice I said several medications, and there's a name for that. Now, your risk for kidney damage depends on your individual health condition. Everybody is unique, okay? But let's look at some of the things that we know through studies that cause kidney problems. Maybe you didn't know this. Ibuprofen is known to cause a lot of problems on your kidneys. So if you're taking ibuprofens like they're jelly beans, then eventually you may wake up or have some signs that you got some kidney damage. Now, people with high blood pressure are taking diuretics. How many people are taking diuretics? Diuretics, aka water pills, treat conditions such as high blood pressure, so they're often given, and heart failure. And guess what? Diuretics are associated with a risk of acute kidney injury, especially in older adults. So a lot of times, older folks, they recommend they don't take diuretics or stop taking them because of the potential damage they can cause to your kidneys. Kidney damage also, when you're taking diuretics, is more associated with higher dosage of diuretics. So diuretics, people are taking that for blood pressure. Some people are like, well, I don't take blood pressure medications, but I do take diuretics to help your blood pressure. Well, again, we're adding strain to the kidneys. One more, and then I'm gonna play this because now we're talking about ACE inhibitors. ACE inhibitors can be good and they can be bad when it comes to our kidneys. Now, ACE inhibitors are the go-to medications for managing high blood pressure that people are experiencing. I know this because I have clients and I see it all the time. And I know that if you're dehydrated and you're taking these kind of meds, can cause some problems sooner than later. But again, we're talking about what the kidneys do. And when you're taking these meds, right, like an ACE inhibitor, and all these meds are being made available, we know just through that, you have an increased risk of kidney problems. So then when you go back and you look at who's in dialysis, and you find out that around 80% of the people in dialysis have been taking blood pressure medications for years, but their blood pressure was not elevated. So according to what one lady said, my blood pressure levels are good because I'm taking medications. Okay, right there was the answer. If your blood pressure is good, then we know that it's not the blood pressure that puts you in dialysis. It has to be something else. And then we know that the kidneys are filtering. It's clear to me. And there's multiple little studies, smaller ones, some aren't as significant as others. But then just 2 years ago, watch this video, because this took place with physicians, with researchers, and they are saying blood pressure drugs may cause kidney damage. Here's the video.
Hello and welcome to Medical Dialogues, your daily dose of health and medical news. I am Dr. Nandita Mohan, and here are the latest reports from the world of medicine. Long-term use of blood pressure drugs may cause kidney damage. Chronic high blood pressure affects 1 billion people around the world. Kidney is the most important organ in maintaining blood pressure. Specialized kidney cells called renin cells play an important role. These cells normally produce renin, a vital hormone that helps the body to regulate the blood pressure. But harmful changes in the renin cells can cause the cells to invade the walls of the kidney's blood vessels. The renin cells then trigger a buildup of another cell type, that is the smooth muscle cells, that causes the vessels to thicken and thereby stiffen. The result? Blood can't flow through the kidney as it should. The new kidney research from the University of Virginia School of Medicine is raising concerns that long-term use of drugs commonly prescribed to treat high blood pressure and heart failure could be contributing to kidney damage. That's all for today. Stay safe.
Never miss a medical update from Medical
right.
Dialogue.
That's not my opinion. That's the University of Virginia. Now, not long ago, I was telling people, hey, trans fats are not good for you. Going back to like 95, 96, 1997, 1998, 1999, 2000. Now, you guys know that trans fats are bad. We've now removed them out of the food supply, effective June 18, 2018. But 20 years before that, I was saying trans fats are killing people. I had a doctor, because I used to have a column in the local newspaper where I live, the VC Reporter, and I talked about the negatives of trans fats on people's health. I had a doctor write a letter into the Reporter, sent me an email during that time to tell me that what I was sharing was not proper, was inadequate, and I shouldn't be sharing that kind of information. That's what they said to me. Fast forward, they were wrong. I was right. And I don't need to be right. I saw it. And I see it with this. So when these people come at me, I say, yeah, you are taking it personal because obviously you're not aware of what I'm aware of. Do the numbers. Go to a dialysis center. The data is there. If 80% of the people on dialysis, because their kidneys have come to a halt, and then, yes, many of them are diabetics, and as a result of that pathology, that pathway, it ties in. We know that diabetes and high blood pressure go hand in hand. If you start with high blood pressure, eventually you'll be a diabetic. If you're a diabetic, eventually you'll have high blood pressure. Then you have both, and eventually the kidneys are being impacted. And if the kidneys are being impacted, eventually, if you live long enough, you're on dialysis. And if 80% of the people on dialysis, okay, if 80%, let's say 40%, let's go down. The people on dialysis, if 40 or 50% of them have been taking blood pressure medication for years, and that's what they have in common, isn't that suspicious? Seriously, I mean, and I know it's not causation. We don't prove anything, but I didn't have causation when I said trans fats were killing people. But we now know. So help me understand. I mean, and then someone made a comment. I think it was the same lady. She mentioned me having a program. Yes, I do have a program. That's what I do. But nowhere in that post did I advertise my program. I didn't say, contact me, I'll get you off blood pressure medication. I never said that. I'm just sharing information that I believe can help people. Now, if somebody wants to get off blood pressure medication, as I stated earlier, we have a really high success rate. Don't be mad at me. Some people just want to kind of wing it and guess. And then when they eventually go in and the doctor, when they do their lab work, there's some kidney stuff going on. They're like, oh my goodness, what caused that? What caused the kidney problem? Let's go back to what I said in the very beginning about the two physicians. They both said it was the blood pressure medication. Are those two physicians wrong? One of them is no longer alive and eventually died. But he ended his life going to dialysis on average 3 times a week and believed that when he started taking the blood pressure medication 30, 40 years before that, that's what caused problems with his kidneys. This is what I'm saying. I'm just saying, why aren't they telling people about the potential risks? And maybe like the lady earlier, maybe they don't know. I can see it. So for all of you who are on blood pressure medications, The same as someone who's taking ibuprofen all the time or Advil or whatever they're taking, and we know that it taxes the kidneys. Don't be upset when eventually you wake up one day and your kidneys are like failing you. Don't be upset with me. I'm saying get off of any drugs if you can. Take a lifestyle approach to it. That's all I'm saying. I'm not here to sell you anything. Can I help you? Absolutely. But many people, because they believe so much in what their physician told them, and that they got a whole bunch of other people they know taking the same, medications, they make it okay just to like go with it. Hey, God bless you and good luck. I just know there's another way. I know there's another way. So don't be mad at me. I mean, it's interesting how people just get quick to be upset. Robert, I can't believe you would put this kind of, statements out there. I'm like, what's wrong with my statement? I'm asking a damn question. Because obviously you don't know what potentially can happen to your health when you're taking a blood pressure medication on a regular basis for 20, 30 years. I don't think our kidneys were ever designed to have to deal with some of these medications. I believe they're still foreign. And as you have data that comes out from University of Virginia, and they say, hey, hold up. Blood pressure drugs may cause kidney damage. Is that really surprising to anyone? It's not surprising to me. Not surprising to me. And if you never thought about it and I got you to think about it, then hey. Now, last week, one of my clients who's been on blood pressure medication, Karen, I'm giving you a shout out. Karen's 69 years of age, and she's off. Now, we just came off, and her doctor was like, okay, you've done the work. All her other numbers are looking great, and I'm constantly encouraging her to get off. Am I a bad guy? Now, she is my client, but the fact that she's off of the blood pressure medication, you don't think I'm excited about that? Because I know that's one less thing we have to even think about that potentially could be creating damage inside of our body or her body, and we had no idea. So, I don't know. Everybody, I mean, the cat got you guys' tongue. I mean, I see Sandy caught me live. Anybody else? Some people just don't care. They don't want to know that there's another way of doing something. And I get that. I do get it. I get it. I mean, this may not be the best analogy, but when I think of like, there's a lot of people who are married and they're unhappy in their marriage, right? But they won't get out because there's a whole bunch of other things they're factoring in. Yes, they know they would be happier, right? Same as getting off blood pressure medication. Some people do get side effects and some people just get tired of taking the medications. I don't know. But what I do know, and not my opinion, because I've never been on blood pressure medication, when you no longer have to take it, man, that's a good feeling. So I'm going to stick to my goal of helping people get motivated to get off of these meds. That's my goal. That's my goal. Now, a lot of physicians can't do this because they make money based on having to have you come in for a doctor's appointment and then getting that's part of that's their lead magnet, right? Is like, and most people just aren't going to be compliant. They're not. So I get it. So you might as well put them on blood pressure medication, save them a little longer, save them from themselves, because a doctor don't have that much time, or most of them don't, to actually sit and spend a lot of time and coach a person to where they wouldn't need meds. So it's so much easier just to put people on prescriptions. So I don't get mad at doctors. I really don't, because I believe we're equally at fault. I believe that we put ourselves in that situation. And I have a lot of physician friends who they just don't believe people are going to do what they say. Like, it's like when you're in the doctor's office and they say, yeah, your blood pressure's up, we're gonna need to put you on some meds to bring it down. And you're sitting there going, oh no, doc, I got it. I'm telling you, I'm gonna eat better. I'm gonna exercise. You are having a moment. And those younger doctors are like, okay, you know what? Yeah, you can do this. But then after a while, they watch that person come back and they didn't do it. I have clients like this because another party's coming up. Oh, we had a drink last weekend. Oh, we had to do this. Oh, we had to do this. Oh, well, my wife wanted to do this. And right when they got to go in and get that lab work, that's when they go, oh, I got to tighten things up. I got to, that's work on that person. What's going on? That's why I said early on, where's the mindset? Where's the mindset? Like where are you mentally? Because when you're scared, you're all in. All right, I'm gonna make some changes. I'm gonna drop a couple pounds. I'm gonna start eating better. I'm stay away from that fried. You're willing to do everything because you're scared. And then you leave that doctor's office, you're probably pumped for about a good 3 to 7 days. And then there's a little parties coming up, little birthday this, little birthday that, eat a little cake here, eat a little bit. You know what I mean? And then you're back, and then it doesn't get real again until you got to go in for your doctor's appointment. Then you want to push it back. You want to change the date. What can I do? I got to pick up. It's like, and then you got the people who just don't even go to a doctor's appointment. And I'm not making fun of any of you. You guys know I'm being real. When you've done this as long as I've done it, and you've done it intimately with people, you get it. The last thing I would share, is how, hey, you guys, call me on my shit. If I'm wrong, if I'm missing something, I'm okay with being called on it. It'll make me better. That's like when these people say, well, I work in the healthcare. Well, I do too. And I work in the healthcare industry at a level where I'm in there with the people who are making the decisions for thousands, if not millions of people. And I see where the bureaucracy there is making it where people can't be healthier. I know that in the healthcare world, most people, not all, they're focused on managing their job instead of making a difference in managing people. I'm in the business of helping people, like outcomes, not like just a marketing thing. It's all about outcomes. If I'm coaching someone, right? Because I had someone, I made a comment in there, God bless her. She saw me in this talking about blood pressure, and I know family members. I go, do you know what I do and have done? Do you know what our coaches are doing? We're getting people off meds. We've proven it. Not through a supplement, not through something crazy, through learning how to eat. So some people just can't see things for what they are. And maybe it's too good to be true. I don't know. I just know I care about people. And if you knew something, right? And like if it was my kids, if my daughter was on blood pressure, this is a good one. Okay, a few more minutes, you guys. Stay with me a few more minutes. Okay, if my daughter was on blood pressure medication because the doctor says she's going on meds, you think I would just be okay with that? Now, what would be my concern? Because if my concern was her blood pressure, then yeah, I would be okay with the meds. Now, this is deep about what I'm saying. My concern is not her blood pressure. My concern is the meds as her father. as her father. Now, let's say my daughter is just out of control, not wanting to listen to anybody, but she will take her meds. That would be kind of weird, right? To be out of control, but yet be compliant. Most people who are out of control aren't compliant. But let's just say she goes, I don't care. I'm just going to take my meds every day. I don't even want to worry about this. I don't want to change the way I'm eating. I don't want to exercise more. I don't want to lose any weight. Oh, okay. And if the only way we can keep her blood pressure from getting out of control, which does reduce the risk of her having a heart attack or stroke, then I would say, okay, maybe she's mentally not capable of eating better and taking care of herself. Oh, there you go. But we have a nurse or someone that gives her pills every day. Okay, that would make sense. That would make sense if someone can't take care of themselves and they need a caretaker and they need a lot of structure. Okay, that would make sense. But I wouldn't want my baby to be on meds because I know where it's going. It's my baby. Even though I wouldn't be here in 30 years, well, I could. But let's say 40 years goes by, 50 years, and I'm gone. I don't want my baby on dialysis 3 times a week. I know what that means. And I know eventually it gets to the point where you're on it daily. And I know that the quality of life on dialysis is not. You ever talk to someone who does dialysis 3 times a week? They ain't going to the club no more. They ain't having sex no more either. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of men that won't take their blood pressure medication because when they're taking the blood pressure medication, oftentimes the side effect is, they can't have an erection. So they're like, I want to still have that part of my life. So then they're just delaying what's eventually going to happen: stroke, heart attack, kidney failure. Right? Because if the heart attack and the stroke don't get you, it's the kidneys. Man, I wish those people were paying attention. I really wish those people who were the naysayers earlier on my Facebook post, I wish they gave me a chance to hear all of this. They would know that my heart's in the right place and I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. Now, Maricela, I don't know what you mean. Maricela, I'm glad you caught me, Maricela. She says, I agree because I've been there. Okay. I don't know if that means that you're taking the meds. Bring clarity to that before I close. And the next time you guys go in and see your doctor, ask them questions like that. Say, hey, doc, I'm on this blood pressure medication. Can you tell me if I stay on this for the next 30 years, if I God, with God's grace, I get to live another 30 years, does the medication cause any harm? Or is it just, I'm just good to go for the next 20, 30, 40 years taking this med? Like, as far as my kidneys, or will eventually it'll cause problems on my kidneys? I'm just curious, doc. Ask them that question. Because they don't know. That's why the University of Virginia is coming out saying, hey, we don't, because they don't have any skin in the game. They're like, blood pressure drugs may be causing kidney damage. And then when you look at all the data, it's right there in our face. Right there in our face. And some people just don't care. They don't. It's amazing. They don't care. They don't care. And they take it personal. Like those 2 ladies did earlier. I mean, they'll probably unfriend me on Facebook now. I hope they don't, because they both seem nice. And I appreciate their passion to step up in the post. I like friends like that because I'm not like she made a little comment about my fans. I mean, a lot of these people know me. I don't take that personal. I really don't. And I like it when someone pushes back and has an opinion. I don't need to be right. I really don't. Because sometimes when people have pushed back, it's opened my eyes to look at something a little differently. And then I'm going to go do my due diligence. And guess what? I may make a whole shift. All right, so I was waiting on Maricel. Let's see what she says. Maricel, I meant that before coaching me, so Maricel is my coach, I would be one of those people that say, okay, doc, I will do better, but I didn't. There's a lot of us that do that when we go to the doctor's office. One of the most difficult parts about, I think, going to a doctor's office is just being open to finding out what your situation is. Right? It's kind of like when you step on a scale. There's some people that just like, I just don't want to be disappointed today. Or there's people that I'm gonna do my fasting glucose. Oh Lord, here we go. Let me see. Oh, and depending on what those numbers are, plays a huge role in how you feel. And so here's my spin on that. Be excited about whatever the numbers are, because you then have the opportunity to create health instead of just preventing disease. And if you create health, then you can make those numbers better next week. Anyway, I went way longer than I thought I would go today, but I'm happy I did. And I'm happy you guys gave me a chance to share information. Share this with somebody, comment on it, hit a like, because if you do hit like, whether it's Facebook or, it all helps. It helps the algorithm so that more people at least find out about what we just talked about. And my take home, the bottom line, everyone, is do what you can to ultimately get off the meds if you can. If it's losing weight that will help, let's lose that weight. If it's eating a little bit better, let's eat a little bit better. You know what I mean? Like, do what you can. Don't settle and just accept you take these meds. Because I have clients, man, that got some. My one client, Tammy, I think she's superwoman. She is superwoman because there's some meds that are necessary to just make it, like just to get from one day to the next. But in working with her, I think she's down over 30 pounds. We've cut quite a few of the meds out. That's major progress. And I'm excited when she don't have to take another med. And to watch those meds go down and down and down, even though she's got a situation and living with conditions that they're necessary. So I'm not against medications, you guys. I'm not. Like I have a client, if you got to inject insulin, hey, let's inject some insulin. Sometimes that's just the situation. Every situation is going to be different. And you approach each one of them differently. So there is a place for medications. There's a place for supplementation. There's a place to make changes that come easy, and there's a place to make changes that are a little bit more challenging. The goal is, what can we do today to make tomorrow better? All right, you guys. I'm Robert Ferguson. Thank you for letting me share. Until the next one, which will be tomorrow. Be well, stay safe. God bless. Peace.